Hi everyone, welcome to this video where we're going to be talking about everything you need to know about wax seals. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. First part I'm going to show you is choosing the wax. So when you come to choosing wax for creating your wax seal, there are a few considerations. You've got wax which is shaped like this, which would be for using with a gun. You've got little cubes of wax like this, which are suitable for using in a crucible. And then you've also got wax like this, which you can use with an alcohol burner. Lots of different places to get wax from, lots of different colors. You can have wax that has a matte finish. You can have wax that has a shiny, glossy finish. And you can get metallic waxes as well. Most modern waxes are quite soft. Traditionally, wax would have been more brittle and much harder because it was designed to be broken, literally for the seal to be broken in order to open the letter. Whereas nowadays, waxes are made for more decorative purposes and letters are opened in the traditional way at the top of the envelope. So to create the seal, we are going to get started today with a gun. There's a few different ways to melt the wax. You could use a little crucible and use the little squares that we looked at earlier. You could use an alcohol burner with the thicker sticks of wax. But for today, we're going to use the gun. So we're going to be using these cylindrical sticks. With the guns, you need to make sure that the temperature isn't too hot. If it's too hot, it'll mean that there's little bubbles that come up in the wax when you press it out, which gives a more unsightly finish to your final wax seal. So provided you've got the temperature down to the lower setting and you've got enough wax put in the back of the gun, you can go ahead and drop some wax down. If you run out of wax like that, you can take another stick and just put it through to the back and quickly continue on squeezing it out. And you just want to put enough wax on your surface for the size of your seal. So we're going to use this swivel seal today. It's got a crystal engraved matrix. So I'm going to let this wax cool off a little bit because this gun I've got is a bit hot. So we'll just let it cool down so that when I put the seal into the wax, it doesn't make the impression too thin, because we want to have a nice thickness when we come to do our final impression. So I'm just going to go in now and press the seal into the wax. And because this is a swivel seal, I'm going to hold the seal in place. If you just had a regular seal, you could let go at this point and just let the weight of the seal fall into the wax to make the impression. But I'm just going to hold it here so it doesn't fall over and damage the outside of my impression. I'm going to leave it here for a few seconds, not too long. I want to make sure that I can remove the seal easily and that it doesn't dry and harden off so much that the wax sticks to the matrix, but not too quickly that the wax is still wet and the impression hasn't been made. So now I'm just going to pull that off and let that dry off on this surface. What I'm using here is a silicone mat, which is a great tool to have when you're creating wax seals because you can easily peel off your little impressions once you've made them. You can then put glue or double-sided tape or any method of sticky to then place that exactly where you want it on either your letters or whatever it is that you're creating with your wax seal. So you've got a lot of control in that sense, using something like a mat. Obviously, traditionally, when wax seals were made for correspondence, you would be sealing straight onto your document. That's a little bit more scary because you have one chance and one chance only to make that work. So I'm just going to go in now and gently ease that off the silicone. So my impression has come out a little thin, so I may have pressed that heavy crystal seal down just a bit too hard, but nevertheless, it has made a really clear, beautiful impression. If you're wondering what material you can use wax seals on, the answer is pretty much anything. Obviously, it works brilliantly on paper. So when you're writing letters or you're creating decorative correspondence, that's ideal. You can also use it on fabric. If you're thinking of doing something like wrapping presents without the use of paper and tape, you'll be folding fabric in a certain way to cover your box or your present. You can melt wax onto that to seal the fabric, provided that it's thin enough. You could use something like a fine organza or a delicate silk, and that would be a beautiful way to send a gift. You could melt it onto marble, wood, any other surface. Common issues that people may face when creating wax seals, wax impressions, is really all to do with temperature and timing. So the temperature of the wax when you're melting it is really important. It mustn't be too hot because the wax starts to bubble, and this creates a sort of spitting effect when you release the wax onto your surface. When you then try to press the wax with your seal, it leaves little bubbles in the finish as the wax is drying off, as the wax is trying to come to terms with the intense heat it's got within it. So that leaves an unsightly finish. You want a smooth, whether that be matte or glossy, or whatever type of wax you're using, you want the center of your impression to have the beautiful engraving left on it from your seal, and then you want the rim of the wax impression to be a beautiful, smooth finish. The same applies in regard to timing. When you release the wax onto your surface, getting ready to press it, you don't want to leave it too long before you put your seal into the wax. If you do, the wax will harden off and it will leave a sort of softer bit in the middle, which means when you press your seal into that circle of wax, the soft wax will sort of bulge over the rim of the wax, which has begun to harden off. And again, that just leaves a rather unsightly finish on your impression. You want to press the seal into the wax and for it to spread out lovely and evenly. Equally, you don't want to press the wax when it is too hot and too soft and hasn't hardened at all. So particularly when you're using the gun, sometimes the guns can be quite hot, and you release the wax onto your surface. It's very hot and it's quite thin, and if you were to press your seal into that immediately, you would create a very thin impression, which if you put it up to the light, it would be nearly transparent. That's not really what you want when you're creating a good, solid, beautiful wax impression. So it's a delicate balance of temperature and timing, and this will be achieved really through practice. If you're wondering about ways that you can be creative with making your wax impressions, there's a number of different ways that you can do this, and a number of different looks you can achieve with your impression. A popular one is mixing colours. So I like to choose colours that have a similar tone to them. So these two, for example, a blue, sort of grey blue, and a muted salmony pink. If you're using wax like this, which is a cylindrical sort of tube shape for a gun, you can simply cut little sections off the top in order that you can then put it into your crucible. Or you can buy the wax pre-cut into little cubes like this, and you just simply mix your two colours together. And for a small crucible like this, I would use 3 to 4, and then you just put your colour choices into the crucible and let that melt down and mix the colours together if you want to create your own bespoke colour. Or you could just, as it's melting, gently swirl the colours together to create more of a sort of marbled effect. Or you can use the two colours separately but together on the seal. So where you might have your blue here and your pink here, you can melt one colour first. So releasing your hot wax onto the surface, and then going ahead and melting the second colour on top of that. So you create a two-tone effect, and then pressing your seal into that circle of wax of two colours can create quite a nice effect, having one colour in the middle and another colour around the outside. There's so much you can do to get creative when you're making your wax impressions. You can add some paint onto the surface of the wax impression. You can paint the little tiny sections of the design that has been impressed onto your hot wax to create more dimension on the surface. You can add glitter, gold leaf. There's so many different ways that you can really elevate your simple wax impression to something that is really creative and beautiful. Thank you so much for watching this video. We hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and subscribe and leave any comments below.